Thank you. This is a regular meeting of the Hampton Board of Education. Present for the board is Mary Ellen Donnelly, Mark Becker, David Hallback, Matthew Flagert, Juan Ariola, and Rose Bisson.
And
Bruenberg.
And Ann Bruenberg. I'm so sorry. I think that's all I have to say. So we'll start with audience for citizens and staff, and I'm going to ask people, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't finish. Also, Frank Ola, superintendent, and Samantha Sarley, our soon-to-be superintendent, are in attendance for the board. But we'll start with audience for citizens and staff, and I'm going to ask everyone to hold their remarks to 2 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to say anything? Yes, Alan?
Yes, just want to inform the board that the invoice from Pinecroft was paid for the paving of the front parking lot.
Thank you very much. Anything else? Hearing none, we'll move on to correspondence for the board. Frank, did you have any correspondence?
No.
Okay. I didn't either. I don't know, Juan, did you have any correspondence to the board?
Yes,
Well, this is the time.
You sent it. I see you sent it.
I sent them because I wanted them read into the record.
Well, Juan, the lawyer suggested we not do that, so I really have trouble reading them into the record.
Okay, but they are.
Okay, but I think it was very important that the other person that was accused of malingering and not living up to contract and intimidated and threatened with firing and had a letter placed in her file. I think she has, according to the First Amendment, a right to grieve the government. And I think that if we don't accommodate her, that she could also go to the Connecticut Human Rights Commission, and she could probably win a case against us because we're not willing to extend courtesy to her to air her grievance against the superintendent.
Okay, so we're willing to extend a courtesy to her, but we're asking her, and I've met with her, we're asking her to please meet with the new superintendent first. So if she doesn't have satisfaction after that, then that would be when we would consider it at the board level. But I think we need to give our new superintendent a chance to handle what our lawyer says is a supervisory matter, an administrative matter. Okay, I'm going to move on to discussion and possible
Rose,
action.
before we move on, I'd just like to say that as a board member representing constituents in Hampton, and that you guys, as board members, should understand that this was wrong, and we should have taken it up as soon as it was brought up, rather than dealing with the fallout later on. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so we're going to go on to discussion and possible action on the hiring of Karen Avis for the .4 FTE in art. So we see Karen. She's come. Yes, Mary Ellen?
Later. I'll do it later.
okay, Anne was trying to say something, but
Yeah, it was correspondence about policies.
okay, it's about policies. We'll bring it up later. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion that we hire Karen Avis for a .4 FTE in art.
I'll second.
Okay, great. Now we can have discussion. Do you have anything that you want to say, Dr. Ola?
Well, I think that Karen has a long history of teaching art in Chaplin. When I interviewed her, she was very knowledgeable in terms of the process of teaching art in the elementary level, which is what I focused on, obviously. But she also brought to the conversation a real positive attitude about herself, her teaching, and the students that she has worked with in Chaplin. And she has had nothing but glowing responses from, or recommendations, as you may have seen in her resume, from her current supervisors in Chaplin. So I highly recommend her. I think we're very lucky to have her come in as a 0.4, 2 days a week for our students.
And I asked all candidates this, Karen.
Mhm.
Are you comfortable? We have a multi-age grouping approach. Are you comfortable teaching more than one grade in one class?
Yeah, we've actually done that before at Chaplin. It's not a consistent way of teaching, but we have had groups that were multi-age in the past. So I am
So-
familiar with that. I know that.
So
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if we're consistent about it, that'll work for you.
I think so, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, Dr. Ola, what step of the pay scale are you recommending for Karen?
She would be at masters and at the top scale.
I think that's master's 12.
I believe so.
Okay,
Rose, would you, Mark Becker, just a question, do you want me to amend my motion to include at Masters 12, at step Masters 12?
that would be great. Thank you.
All right. So I amend my motion to include at Masters 12, at step level Masters 12 at the end of my motion.
Thank you.
And
I
I'll
will-
second that.
Great. Thank you, Mary Ellen. Any more discussion? Well, in that way, I'll call the roll. Again, the way you show up on my computer. Mary Ellen?
Yes, and I just want to say that I liked your letter and reading your credentials. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Mark?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Matthew? Yes, from Matthew in chat. Juan
No,
and Ann Gruenberg. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Did I miss some? Oh, no, Russ isn't here. Okay. The motion carries 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yeses to 1 no. Okay. Welcome aboard, Karen. We're looking
Thank
forward to
you.
seeing you in the fall.
Thank you. I'm really excited about it.
Great. We don't necessarily expect you to stay for the rest of our meeting, but we're very happy that you came in and met with us.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed everyone that I've met at Hampton, and I'm really excited about teaching there this fall.
Wonderful.
So hopefully I'll see everyone in and out of the building.
Well, as long as there's no COVID restrictions.
Good point.
Yeah, I know, it's hard to get used to.
It is, yeah, it is.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
You too. Okay, discussion and whoops. Approval of the minutes from 6/22 and the special board meeting on 7/11/22. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve both.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay. Does anyone have any comments on the minutes of 6/22. I just have one. On number 4, approval of minutes. It says Diane Gagnon moved to accept the minutes of the 6/22 meeting. I think that should say 5/26 meeting. Does that seem right to people?
I noticed the dates were off, but I don't remember which way they should go.
Well, this is in the minutes of 6/22, so we couldn't approve them because they hadn't been written yet.
Right.
So it must have been from the last meeting. Any other changes? Hearing none? Oh, wait. We have to talk about the meeting on, we're also approving the 7-Eleven meeting. Are there any comments on that meeting?
7-Eleven, that was a special meeting. with
Yes, yes,
Executive session,
yeah,
superintendent.
yeah, we came out and hired the superintendent.
Okay,
Okay,
One more thing.
yes,
I'm trying to pull them up. The date of the May meeting that we were trying to approve was, just one sec, 5/25. So it has to be corrected.
It says 5/23.
Yeah, it says 5/23, and so it has to be corrected in 2 places.
what was the meeting?
5/25.
5/20, okay, it says 5/22 later, so that should be 5/25.
Yeah, both places, 5/25, 22, and then Diane moved to accept the minutes of the 5/25 meeting. So the correction in 2 places.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So to approve the minutes as corrected, we'll start with Mary Ellen,
Yes,
Mark,
Yes.
David,
yes.
Matthew. Oh, yes, and Diane's waiting to be let in.
I don't see her.
No? Is there another place you can look?
Do we know what email she's on?
She's on her phone.
I
Well, you're
get,
just,
I'm not seeing her asking to come in, so.
is anyone asking to come in?
Nope,
Okay,
which means she could be on, like, she could be on an older link or,
Go ahead, speak, Diane.
I'm here.
hi, Diane.
yeah, we're trying to figure out how to get you on. Sam says that you're not on the list of people waiting to get on.
Well,
And-
I put in the number and I put in the code and it says, waiting for the host to let you in.
Yeah,
And nobody's let me in. Usually Frank just, I don't know, touches some button and I'm going in.
Yeah, yeah.
do you,
I can keep her on my line so she can participate until.
Okay, thank you.
Does that work?
Yeah, that works if it's okay with Kathy and you.
It works for me.
Okay, great. Okay, so we're in the middle of a vote that I'm guessing you probably won't want to vote on. It's to accept the minutes. You're welcome to vote on it if you'd like. I'll continue down the list. Juan,
No to the June meeting and abstention to the executive meeting.
okay, but we took them in one motion.
Well, then, no to both of them.
Okay. Anne,
Yes.
and Diane, do you want to vote on it?
Well, what are we voting on?
The minutes of both June, June 22 and 7/11.
Yes.
Okay, great.
I
The
think was
motion-
it June 25th?
I'm sorry, who said that?
It was, yeah, no, it was June 11th.
25th.
It was June 22nd and July 11th.
I love it, yeah.
So we have 6 yes and 1 no. The motion carries. Okay, on to the superintendent's report.
I met for lunch with our new superintendent, Dr. Sarli, and she and I felt we had a wonderful lunch. And I tried to help her understand all the issues that are confronting us relative to heating oil, the rising costs. She does know that there's a Zoom meeting on August the 17th of the Heating Oil Consortium through the RESC Alliance. She has been given the name of the person who does has done in the past, the installation of the playscape. And the 2 playscapes that we ordered through COVID funding have both arrived at our building. And I just wanted to say at the bottom of it, just a personal to thank you all for what I felt was 6 years that I have enjoyed being your superintendent. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Any questions?
Mark Becker, but just continued appreciation, for being able to work with you, Dr. Elwell. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Rose,
Yes, Juan.
can I say something?
I'm sorry, I'm hearing 2 people. What? Diane?
Do we have a
Diane?
date as to when she officially starts? I know
August
she was on
1.
Pamela there.
I'm sorry, Diane, I missed that.
When-
So
when does she
we're
officially start?
we are honing in on next week at the beginning of the week, but the contract isn't quite signed yet because there's one issue to take up tonight. But we'll have a signed contract once tonight's issue is handled.
Okay.
Yeah. You're welcome. Okay, Juan, I'm sorry. What did you want to say?
I wanted to say to Mr. Ola, good riddance. And I'm glad that you're gone because you've created a lot of strife and chaos with personally myself. And there was no need for that. If you had spoken to me and treated me like a human being, it would have been different. So good riddance.
Well,
Thank
thank you for your input, Juan. We'll move on to the principal's report.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a great summer. It's going by faster than usual. My focus will be over the next few weeks, helping getting the building in order and working with the cleaning crew to make sure everything's all set for the students, and talking to Samantha and making decisions about the nuances of how we are going to reopen with regards to things like dismissal and um, lunch runs and things like that. So that's the plan for the rest of the summer.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, Juan?
Principal,
Hello?
is there going to be any changes in policy as far as people coming in? Because I don't want another human being to go through what I had to go through and have nasty messages sent to me from the superintendent. I have a lawyer contacted for my entrance when it's basically been proven that I didn't do anything wrong, except as a grandparent walk my grandson to his classroom door. And I'd like to see a staff who actually smiles and welcomes people rather than calls up a superintendent who's on vacation or gets a hold of lawyers. I'm surprised the state police weren't called because I was there. So I just like to see some work on that. And maybe, I don't know if anything has been done about the race culture that I've spoken to for over a year now, and that's nothing's been done about it. I know that Mr. Ola dragged his heels at every mention of it. I'm hoping that you and the new superintendent will do something about that, because we got a problem with racism in our school. And I know that everybody looks around them and is like, what's he talking about? You're all white. I'm brown, and I'm the one that got picked on. So think about that. Thank you.
Thank you for your input, and all of those topics are definitely on our list to explore and take action on. Well, things like the parents coming into the building is something everyone is eager to do. But part of that decision will be made by our COVID numbers and the recommendations that we get from the CDC and the regional health district. But definitely, you are hitting on topics that we will be discussing and exploring and sharing with families.
I just want the people who are coming into the building to be equitable. That's all. I just want people of color and people with disabilities and other people to be able to walk into that school and not be hammered by people who are unsmiling, people who don't talk to you, people who ignore you, and then report you without telling you what actually you've done wrong. So I want to see that environment. I want to see it totally gone. I want to see it disappeared. It's 2022. We're not in the 1950s. We're not in the 1940s. We're not in Alabama, and we're not in Mississippi. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your input. I did want to say, Sam, that I liked what you did with your report this month, where you told us about the working through project-based learning and gave us a little paragraph explaining the benefits of it. I think that's the perfect use of your report. So thank you for that.
Short and to the point.
Yes, I like that part too. Okay,
I have a
Rose,
question for Sam.
I'm sorry.
Rose, there's a question in the chat for the principal, I
Okay.
believe.
No, that's for me, and I will get to it. I just want to,
Okay, sorry.
it's okay. Did Diane have something she wanted to say?
I wanted to ask Sam something.
Oh, okay, go right ahead.
On a little bit of on the security in the
Oh.
school,
Right.
numbering the doors and stuff.
Yes. Yes.
We are, okay, good.
And we spoke a little bit about that at F&O, and they'll talk about some of it, but that's definitely not being ignored.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you for reminding us.
Okay. Now we would move on to Director of Pupil Services, but she doesn't have a report this month, so we're going to pass that right on by. And we have Business Coordinator's report, and the Business Coordinator is not here. If anyone has a question, we'll see if Frank can answer it. Are there any questions? Oh, there we go. We'll move on to discussion and possible action on the paid time off proposal for definition of terms in current paid time off for non-certified employees. So business people call paid time off PTO, but of course I hear PTO, parent teacher organization. So I'm going to say the words out. I'm not going to go PTO for paid time off. Do we have a motion?
I move to accept the proposal as presented July 27, 2022. It's 2 paragraphs, and I think we could just put them into the minutes. The proposal that was sent to us.
I have a question. I know you got a motion going, but
No, we have to, Dave, we have to make our motions, then we discuss. So I need a second, and then you can ask your question.
I'll second.
Okay,
Diane.
thanks. Thank you, Diane. Okay, Dave, what's your question?
I want you just to give us a brief history on this. I believe we voted on giving paid time off, allowable lost time to the non teachers, the non-union employees, the office janitor and all that. We did do that, right? That was back in February or something like that.
Right.
So the issue here is when the term starts, or how do you calculate it? Do you calculate it years of service from data hire, or do you calculate years of service data hire the first year, rounded off back or forth, depending on where they started, prorated? Now, what do the teachers do? How is the teachers calculated? Because I want to do the same thing, I think. How is the teachers calculated for their time as far as?
They have their own union contract, and it's
Right.
contract, and they go from July 1 to June 30th as a contractual time frame. So
There you go.
so they are all treated in that sense.
That's
The
what I thought.
problem with the non union people is that we've had various implementation policies. So everybody seems to have been given their their paid time off on July 1. And it was regardless of when they were hired. So what we're saying is that seems somewhat arbitrary. So we're saying that anybody who is currently employed will have their paid time off as of July 1 of each year, so that the full complement of vacations, sick time, bereavements, and personal time would come then. Anyone hired after that point, they would then be, well, in other words, all our new hires would then go by anniversary date of hire. So it's makes it easier, because the way this document that you approved back in February is determined, for example, vacation time, it's 0 to 6 months, they get no days. And then 6 months to 1 year will equal 1 year vacation. Well, if we continue with the July 1, somebody who was hired in April would then on July 1st get a full complement of their vacation, rather than having to work 0 to 6 months with no vacation. And then the next piece is 6 months to 1 year equals 1 week. So it just helps define the terms that you've already approved.
I have a question.
Yes, Ann?
Are we talking about non-certified? People have made reference to non-union.
Non-certified would be non-union, yes.
It is non-certified.
Yes.
Yes, it's the same group.
Thank you.
Mr. Ola,
Yes, sir.
if I started in November, so that would mean that this July, I would get 1 week.
You would get your full complement of everything that is part of that non-union process, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And that's because, so let's say someone was hired last November. I'm looking, I'm pretty sure, didn't we get it? I can't find my paper with it.
Yeah, you got it.
Did I hold it up?
No.
No, I read it, so I know it came in the packet. I just can't, oh, it's got something in front of it. So let's say I was hired in November of 2021. And now it came to June, I mean, to July 1, 2022. I would be considered to have 1 year service as is currently done. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes.
So,
Yeah, that would be 9 months.
I'm sorry, who was that?
9 months.
But
November,
Diane,
July is
the-
9 months, so it's considered a year.
the way it's been implemented up until now, it would be considered a year. July 1 turned into a year for whenever you came, is how it's been done till now.
Okay.
If we make this change, anyone who is already hired would be under the old way of doing things, right?
Correct.
So there's no one currently employed by the board who would be affected by this change. I said the same thing 2 different ways. Okay. That's good to understand. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
But I just want to, wait, I just want to clarify, if we vote yes on this, if we pass it, then anyone hired in November, starting now, would not get their 1 week vacation until November, the next November. That's the change we're making.
No, after 6 months, they'd get, after 6 months, they'd get a week.
Oh, I'm sorry, I read it. Yes, after 6 months, they would
in
get
1 day.
1 week.
A week.
Year, they would get 2
Right.
years. Yes.
Right. But it's
So-
it's calculated
But they
on
would-
their date of hire rather than an arbitrary July 1.
So they would need to wait till November.
If they were hired July 1.
No, if they were hired this coming November, they would
Yep.
need to wait till the following November and they would get 1 week vacation.
Correct.
No,
That's an example.
no. If they were hired this November, they'd have to wait 6 months. It says it right under vacation.
I'm sorry.
6
Okay,
months.
6 months.
1
All
day.
right, so I said it wrong. All right, so they would wait till the following November and they would get 2 weeks vacation.
Yes. No. Oh, 2 years. No, no, Mary Ellen. 0 to 6 months, you get nothing. At 6 months, you get 1 week. So
Right.
when November came, you've done your 6 months to a year. But then you only have a year in, so you only get a week for the next year. And after that, when you have 2 years done, you would get 2 weeks.
Correct.
You're
for
gonna
the
have to
first
run that by me again. We're talking November of 2022, it's coming
and then so
November.
forth.
November of 2023, if we hire
Two.
someone,
No,
well,
November 2020.
when are they
This-
hired? When is your example person hired, Mary Ellen?
this is 2022 now, July 2022. So we hire somebody in November, this coming November, okay?
November 2022. So then
All right,
July,
so after,
so they'd have,
after 6 months,
they'd get 1 week. So from July 1 till November of 2023, they would have a week. And then starting November of 2023, they'd have to do 1 more year with 1 week. So they'd have 1 week straight through till the next November of 2024. Then they qualify for, 1 minute. Then they qualify,
no,
no, it takes
I'm
5
not,
years.
I disagree. Between 1 and 5 years, they get 2 weeks vacation. So if they go November 22 to November, say they,
23.
November 1st, 2022 to November 2nd, 2023, they get 2 weeks.
I agree
Because
with
they're
you.
there a year.
I agree with you. My eyes slipped up to personal days where it says 0 to 2
Okay.
years. So that was my mistake.
Gotcha.
Okay, thanks.
Okay,
Thanks for clarifying.
that's all right. I admitted the 6 months, so.
Okay, yes, Juan.
So basically, everybody who's in right now is basically grandfathered.
Yes,
After this July 1st, it doesn't apply anymore. The
Wait, I-
grandfathering, it's done.
well, no, yeah, no one was hired in July, so.
I
it's
know,
not-
I know that, but I'm just saying, there is nobody else that we have to worry about because everybody's been grandfathered in.
That is correct, everybody,
Okay.
without exception.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, are we ready to vote?
Yes,
All right, Diane,
Already done.
would you like to vote first, Diane? You vote yes? Okay, Mary Ellen,
Play it.
Yes,
I don't have the recording.
David,
Yes.
Mark, I skipped you.
All right, yes.
Matthew? Yes.
yes, you
Yes.
Juan? Juan, would you like to vote? Juan, are you there?
Hello,
gonna-
Rose, I'm sorry, I was muted. Yes,
And Ann?
Yes.
yes.
Voted against the new RT.
Okay,
No idea why.
passes
I double
unanimously,
voted.
7-1. Yep. The motion carries unanimously.
Hmm?
And we'll move on to discussion and action and possible action on superintendent compensation. So as I was going through the contract, so we can take the contract from Frank's needs to Samantha's needs, I noticed that the Board of Ed was paying $5,969 toward Frank's TRB insurance. So that was part of his total remuneration, and it was budgeted for, and it's budgeted for this year. Now, Dr. Sarli clearly does not qualify for Teacher Retirement Board insurance yet. However, I would like to suggest that we give her the $5,969 as part of her compensation, as part of her salary. But that would need to be done with a motion of the board.
I'll
It will
move
not-
that.
So what's the total
I move
salary
that
gonna
we-
be? Could you tell me what the total is now? Your
Yeah.
proposed total?
Give me a minute. But
Make the
Mary
motion
Ellen,
first, Rose.
Mary Ellen, I would really like you to finish your motion if you don't mind.
Yeah, I move that we compensate Dr. Sarli $5,969 in addition to the salary voted on at the July 11th, I believe,
Meeting.
Board of
Yeah.
Education meeting.
And that was 61,585. I'm
I
gonna add
second.
this. Oh, thank you, Mark. 1 minute, Mary Ellen, Mark. Okay, I'm gonna add it in my head, so I will not be, well, on paper, but I will not be offended if someone tells me I added wrong.
We were gonna start her at a low rate so that we can work our way up to that 5,000 at the last meeting, I believe, is what we had said.
No, we didn't discuss this insurance payment at the last meeting.
This is insurance, okay, yeah, never mind.
Okay. So if I get that it comes to 67,554. Mark, you're good at math. Did I get that? Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't write the
That's
numbers
right.
down.
Did you do it?
I added it up early.
And it was
I
67,
kept
5.
you.
Oh, yes. Okay, thank you. So any further discussion?
Yeah. For an
Yes.
old guy, give it to me one more time. Explain to
60
me what's the difference. Frank had a retirement insurance? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Frank was getting his insurance. He was getting a supplemental insurance through the Teacher Retirement Board. I think there's several of us on the Board of Ed who do that. And you have to pay for it. And as part of his contract, Hampton was reimbursing him for the amount that went to his, for the amount that he had to pay to the Teacher Retirement Board. I'm sorry, that beeping is driving me crazy. Do we know where it's from? It's gone, never mind. So it's budgeted as part of Frank's total compensation for the job. But since Dr. Sarli is a 2-day-a-week person, she doesn't qualify for our insurance plan. And because she's not retired, she doesn't qualify to get it through teacher retirement. So I'm suggesting we give her that part of Frank's is his compensation, which would bring the total up to $67,654.
Okay, the night that we all met and we hired Dr. Sarli, she agreed on the original salary, 61,500, yada, yada. So, and we all agreed to that. So now you're just saying that you want to give her a $5,000 raise because it was part of Frank's bonus package, benefit
Well,
package?
As I recall the discussion, we
I'm
wanted
just trying to get my hands around this.
Yeah. As I recall the discussion, we said we wanted to give her the same thing Frank got. And at the time, I don't know, I didn't realize it or it slipped my mind that there's this additional bit that Frank was also getting. So Dr. Sarli has not complained. She has not asked for it. I noticed it and thought it was something that could be corrected.
So
Okay.
how much are we paying for the insurance for her if we vote this in? What does it turn out to be?
$5,969.
Yeah, but you're not going to give it to her in insurance. You're going to give it to her in salary.
That is correct. So it will be
Okay.
taxed for her.
Make sure
Yep.
Diane understands that.
Diane, do you understand that we wouldn't give it to
I
her
do.
in?
I agree.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Because I knew we started her at 51, I think, something.
No, 61.
61, something.
Yeah,
But anyway,
60.
okay, I got it.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Yours go.
Hearing none, I'll take the roll call. Diane,
I'll vote no on that.
Move.
Mary Ellen,
Diane,
Yes,
Mark,
Yes.
David,
I'm gonna say no.
Matthew,
Says
Yes.
yes.
yep. Juan,
No,
Anne,
yes.
all right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 yeses. And 1, 2, 3 noes. So the motion carries 4-3. Thank you all. Excuse me. There, I need a light. Now, discussion and possible action on the 2022-2023 Board of Ed budget. So our budget was passed by the Board of Finance and passed by the town. So that would make it time for us to pass it on our board. I'm trying to see where in the paperwork it came.
didn't we vote on that before we sent it to the Board of Finance for 30 days?
No, they cut us from what we voted on. So we have to vote on the new number. This
What
was,
was the cut?
this was Sally's request.
Rose,
Was
I'll
it-
make a motion
Okay,
to approve the 2022 to 2023 budget of 2,039,382 as dated on the July 17th, 2022 draft.
Okay, I could second that.
okay, so I'm not sure how much down it was.
Was this because of the heating oil being put in a contingency fund?
Yeah, but that's just 10,000. Let me, Kathy, would you like to tell us where, how much it was lower?
It's $10,000 lower and the money was put in the contingency fund so it could be used upon request if needed. So it's
Okay.
$10,000 less than what your board had approved.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? Okay, I'll take the roll call. Diane,
Nope.
Mary Ellen,
Yes,
Mark,
Yes.
David,
Yep.
Matthew? Yes. Juan,
no,
Anne?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yeses and 2 nos. The motion carries. Okay. Committee and liaison reports. We'll start with communications. Has nothing to report. Thank you, Matt. Finance and operations.
Yeah, so we met last week. The parking lot paving has been completed, and thanks to Alan and Ellen from the town hall to work with Sally to get the invoice paid to Pinecraft. I did reach out to a company, Q Lines, that will be giving us a estimate to paint the lines on the parking lot. So we'll know more about that hopefully in the near future. I think we talked about it at the last board meeting, but the arsenic tank, the second one, the contents have been replaced. So that tank should be good for another year. And then next year, the year after, we'll start have to do the other, there's 2 tanks. So the second one, Mary Ellen and David have been meeting with multiple different people to try to figure out the logistics and how we can install mini splits within the school, with obviously the intention to save oil costs and to provide cooling in the summer. And the playgrounds, we'll be just working as we need to, you know, Dr. Sarley, we can help out as part of the committee if need be for the playgrounds to help coordinate people or whatever. So just feel free to reach out to us. I'm sorry.
My dog usually.
I just want to,
Yes,
I just want to say to Sam and whoever else, David and I are going to be in the building this Friday at 11 o'clock. And I just want people to know that so that the halls aren't being washed or waxed or something. We're going to have to run through most of them. I mean, most of the rooms, because another company is coming to take a look.
Okay, thanks.
And that was it for finance and operations.
thank you, Mark.
And the dogs. The dogs wanted to say hi too.
Okay, policies.
Okay, so the policy committee is getting ready for its summer work. And I wanted to thank Frank and anyone else who was participating in getting the policies to me, the draft policies and the information from CABE that was mailed from CABE over a period of time. But I received them this week. And I'm pleased to say that I think we're well positioned to move ahead with having another policy committee meeting and updating our policies. There was also documentation of the school safety initiatives. I think that's going to be a statewide priority, actually a national priority, secondary to the school shootings. So materials were sent on that topic. Some of the recommended and required policies are not relevant to us except in concept, because they may apply to secondary students who are in middle school and above developmentally, but the need to have policies that are challenging to students and also policies that do not discriminate against students who may have had some challenges prior to the current time. So anyway, I'll save the discussion for that till we actually have a meeting, which hopefully will be in the near future.
Great.
Any questions?
Any questions for Ann? Nope, I'm not hearing any, Ann. Thank you. Okay, ad hoc job description subcommittee. So we met on, I think it was the 5th, but we met and are currently working on putting the executive assistant's job description into the same format that all the other job descriptions are in. Do you have anything to add to that, Mary Ellen?
No, we had a 3-hour meeting. It was very good and productive. Yvonne was there, Sam, Rose, and I. And I have notes that I have to give to Dr. Sarli. Of course, it'll be, she'll be part of looking at this and figuring out that job. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, the ad hoc minority recruitment and retention subcommittee. So we met once, and we discussed several things, but I reported that I went to a workshop at CABE. It was a multi-evening workshop, and it was called Affinity Groups. So of course I was in the white affinity group. And the reason for the affinity groups and the reason that we separated into white and non-white was because white people have a lot to learn and people of color already know it. So if we're all in the same group, we're making them go over what they already know. And that doesn't make a lot of sense. So I learned many things, but the two things I want to report on tonight is that I learned Juan has identified for us we have a problem, and it's not up to him to solve it. We have to solve our problem ourselves. And I got ideas on how to start doing that. And the problem starts at the top of an organization, not that we made the problem happen. I mean, there's many reasons for the problem, but it starts with us learning so that we can improve and the district can improve. And the second thing I learned is people of color don't want white people's guilt, because you know what, my sister does this to me with my cancer. She'll give me this obnoxious advice and I'll get all upset. She says, well, I would have felt bad if I didn't tell you. But my cancer is not about her feelings. So it's the same thing here. Our racism is not about our feelings. It's about people of color who are discriminated against and who are mistreated. So no one here is going to ask anyone to feel guilty. What happened, happened. We need to fix what we can fix among ourselves. So as a way to stop that, at my workshop, we were introduced to a series of videos, and I'd like to show the first one tonight. And the series is called An Uncomfortable Conversation with a Black Man. Emmanuel Acho does them. I think they're on YouTube. I think he put them on YouTube, but they're very powerful. So tonight, we're gonna watch the first one, and Sam is gonna put it up on her screen.
I love Rose's faith in my ability to get this going. So,
Well, you've got to do that, or let me share my screen. Those are your choices.
Let's see. How am I doing so far?
You're doing great so far. There, you got it.
Okay. Can everybody, can everybody visually see it?
I can.
And as long as you're ready, I'm gonna hit play.
We're ready.
Welcome to the first of hopefully many episodes of Uncomfortable Conversations with the Black Man. In the midst of all this chaos in our world, so many of y'all have reached out to me, and by y'all, I mean white people. They reached out to me asking, how can I help? How can I join in? How can I stand with you? So I've created this for you because in order to stand with us and people that look like me, you have to be educated on issues that pertain to me and fully educated so that you can feel the full level of pain, so that you can have full understanding. I fervently believe that if the white person is your problem, only the white person could be your solution. And so this is made for you, my white brothers and sisters, to increase your level of understanding so that you can increase your level of compassion and lead ultimately to change. So consider this a safe space to answer so many questions that I've seen from y'all. The first question I've seen a lot of, Emmanuel, why are you all rioting? I understand protesting, but why riot? And to that I submit this. MLK said that rioting is the language of the unheard. For years, Black people have tried peacefully protesting, going back to 1965 and before with the Selma March, and that didn't work. And then in 2016, Colin Kaepernick, he took a knee.
What happened to the sound?
We've seen riots because Black people and hurt people are trying to get the attention of the oppressor. They're trying to raise awareness of the oppression. I was biking around Lake Austin the other day, and there was a white girl around about 15 meters ahead of me. And as I'm on my bike, I say to her, on your left.
Sorry, guys.
Because I want to notify her I'm coming so that she can change her course of action. I get 10 meters away and I increase my voice, on your left, because she had yet to move. I get 5 meters away and she's still there, and I say, on your left, because I realize if she doesn't change her course of action, there will be a collision. And as I approach her, I yell, on your left, and we collide. My goal was never to hit her, but because she had her headphones in, she didn't hear me, and so she didn't change her course of action. I believe that that's the same thing Black people are doing now. 1960s, we're yelling, we're oppressed. But the course of action wasn't changed. And so we again yell, we're oppressed, but the course of action wasn't changed. And so again we yell, we're oppressed. And now you see the collision that's occurred in America. So while I don't condone rioting, and I'm sure you don't either, because for the most part, Black people and others that are looting and rioting destructively, they're burning down their own homes. But when you think about the 5 different stages of grief, you come up to one stage, which is called anger. And sometimes emotions, they don't know their actions. I remember my mom, when I was a child, she lost her sister, and I just remember her yelling and screaming. And I come outside my room and I see my mom throwing herself into a wall, and I'm wondering what happened. And my dad tells me that my mom's sister had died. Thinking back on that, throwing yourself into a wall, it's not going to change anything. You're actually harming yourself. But sometimes pain and hurt, it doesn't know how to express itself. You know, another question I get from my white friends, they ask me, why do you think white privilege exists? And I say this, if you and I were in a race and the official at the start line, they held me back for the first 200 meters, and you had a 200 meter then head start, the only way to level out that race is to either stop you from running or put me on a golf cart and catch you up and catch myself up. Well, you see, what we've done in America is we've simply said, okay, Emmanuel, you're now free to run. And we've acted as if it's a fair race, when in all honesty, Black people were held back for hundreds of years. And so within the late 1960s, we say, okay, Black people, you can go now. That's not a fair race. LBJ, he said it best when he said, you can't shackle and chain someone for hundreds of years, liberate them to freely compete with the rest, and still justly believe that you've been fair. So white privilege is, it's having a head start due to hundreds and hundreds of years of systematic and systemic racism. It's having a head start intrinsically built into your life. It's not saying your life hasn't been hard, but what it's saying is your skin color hasn't contributed to the difficulty in your life. I live in an affluent neighborhood in Austin, Texas, and if I ever go to my mailbox and I see a white woman walking up to the mailbox, I consciously sit in my car because I don't want her to feel like I'm a threat. If I'm on an elevator with a white person, I try to hit the button first and get off the elevator first because I don't want them to perceive me as a threat, because I realize at any point in time, whiteness can be weaponized. We saw that this past week. Amy Cooper, Central Park, the woman who called the cops on a Black man who wanted her to leash her dog because it was illegal to walk your dog without a leash. And she used 2 words that are a death sentence for Black people. When she called the cops, she said, there's a Black man who's threatening my life. Both of those things, as far as when you compile them together, were a lie, because that Black man, he was a bird watcher. And while so many people saw that incident and they were heartbroken, I, as a Black man, saw that incident and was reminded of 1955, Emmett Till, 14-year-old boy who was lynched, mutilated, and killed by 2 white men because a white woman made a false claim saying that he flirted with her. In 2017, that white woman recanted that story. In 1956, the 2 white men that killed him, they got off. And they admitted that they did it because they knew they couldn't be charged again due to double jeopardy. That, to me, is white privilege. The ability to weaponize your whiteness and the ability to live life unconsciously. Because I, as a Black man, have to calculate every move I make the second I walk outside my house. Another question I get that I'm sure several of y'all have thought, if not your kids have, how come Black people can say the N-word, but we can't? I had to do some research on that to educate myself a little bit further. The N-word is synonymous with oppression, execution, and subordination. Black people were so long treated and viewed as no more than the slave to a master. We were viewed as dirt, and that word is synonymous with that. So there is a visceral reaction whenever we hear that word coming out of someone whose complexion is white that reminds us of the pain of our ancestors. Black people took something that was meant and originally used as evil, and we turned it into a term of endearment. So white people, I submit that you can't, shouldn't, and nor should you ever have a desire to say that word, whether quoting a rap song, a movie, or anything. Because remember, that word is truly synonymous with hatred. The abolitionist Frederick Douglass, he wrote when talking about his master that reading and learning would spoil an N-word. Because remember, Black people were nothing more than a slave to their master. And when you think about, well, then why should Black people saying it? And if I can't say it, then you shouldn't either, Black person. We've been oppressed for so long, our rights have for so long been limited, that for you to now try to again limit our speech, it's painful. So that's why, in a nutshell, in a few minutes and seconds, why you can't say the N-word. Another question I've gotten so often, how come Black people care more about white on Black crime than Black on Black crime? It's not that we don't care about Black on Black crime, but let me propose this. When a Black person commits a crime, they go to jail. When a white person commits a crime, they get off. And hopefully, they even get arrested. Ahmaud Arbery, the Black man that was chased and gunned down by 2 white men in Georgia. It took us 2 months to arrest those perpetrators. And the only reason we did, because we saw the video. Imagine if camera phones didn't exist. Black on Black crime is an issue. But if you do the research, high violent crimes are all interracial. Blacks kill Blacks, whites kill whites, Hispanics kill Hispanics. So it's not that we don't care, but it's the same issue as why y'all saying Black Lives Matter when all lives matter. We understand all lives matter, but right now, Black people are dying at the hands of white people, and I can't change that. Only you, my white friends, y'all can change that. So if you want to know how can you help, how can you stand with us, how can you stand with me, you must first educate yourself so you know exactly what you're standing for and why you're standing. Because the only way we can solve this issue is through exposure, through education, through compassion, and through empathy. Thank y'all for tuning in to the first of hopefully many episodes of Uncomfortable Conversations with the Black Man. Consider this a safe space to educate yourself and help me help you by leaving your questions and sharing this video. Because while you might think you're not ignorant, someone you know and someone you love, they may be.
Okay, Sam, can you unshare your screen?
Let's hope. I have a lot of limits for some reason.
You're still sharing your screen.
Yeah, I can minimize it. But... There we go. Apparently, if you're the whatchamacallit, you can't like mute yourself, and you can't minimize yourself.
No, but you should be able to turn off screen share.
Yeah, I should be able to. I could get us back into a strip. All right, well, if I'm going to keep working on this for a second, if you want to keep going. There we go.
Let me see. Well, we can try. Does anyone know how to stop sharing a screen? Dr. Sarli, do you know how to do that?
Yeah, so if you just, Sam, if you try hovering like towards the top of your screen, it should pop up.
Yeah, it usually does, but
Did you minimize us?
I did, and then now I'm back. And
So can you see us? Like, can you see me?
I can see you,
Okay, that's odd.
but I
And then-
can't see the bottom where you usually do all the things.
Does it have like the arrow to make us bigger?
I'm stretching you out, yes.
Okay, so do you have the ability to make me a co-host? Because that might just knock it off.
Well, as soon
A
as
Sharpie.
I can get to the bottom where it has all the options, then I'll be fine, but it's not giving me those options.
What if you just brought your mouse down to the bottom of the screen? That's what happens to me. It disappears.
Right.
And I bring my mouse
That's what
down.
I'm used to. No good, Mark, sorry.
Well, Samantha suggested you hover around the top. Can you do that?
Yep.
And nothing's coming up there?
Not that is helping. Just keep making you either bigger or smaller.
Exit full screen.
Oh, wait a
maybe?
minute. I paused you. Stop share. Here we go.
Ah, thank you. Wonderful.
Got to play with that mouse a little.
Yeah, we should have practiced it before the meeting.
I was afraid because I can't unmute. I tried to unmute for that 1 second. And because I thought my dog was going to start barking, but I'm going to
Okay.
mute now.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have any comments about the video?
Rose, I like the intent, but there's also a lot of other minority men and women who are discriminated, not just Black people. And I speak for my group, which is Latino and Native American. And I know that just my presence in some people's, it scares them. And I laugh because I already know that. I already know that white people get intimidated just by seeing a person of a different color. I know that people lean over and lock their doors as soon as we walk across the street towards them. And so this is just like, I like this, but I'd rather have other minority people also speaking about the racism they have encountered and the stupid questions that people ask them to answer, because like, this is our lives you're talking about. We face this every day. We get pulled over by the cops. You're not going to get shot. I'm going to get shot if I move my hands too quickly or if I don't respond quickly enough. I have an experiment that I'm going to try someday. I'm going to get pulled over by a state cop and I'm going to refuse to speak English. And I want to see how far I get, because I'll probably wind up in jail before I reveal to them, yes, I'm capable of speaking English, even though you see me as probably an ignorant wetback or an ignorant undocumented person. So, you know, this is, it's good to start somewhere, but you have to include other minority people, because there are other minority people who go through this. It's like a Black person, when I talk to them, they understand what I'm talking about. When I talk to a Chinese person, they understand what I'm talking about. When I talk to a Filipino, they understand what I'm talking about. When I talk to other indigenous people all over America, we don't even have to talk about it, because we're like, we live in America. It's ruled and controlled by white people, and white people just don't give a damn about understanding our culture, learning our languages, learning our history. And so, you know, I'm glad we started somewhere, but I would advocate also, let's include other minority people, because Black people are not the only people who get, excuse my word, manured upon on a daily basis.
And I agree, we have a lot of work and a lot to get to. But I think these are good videos to help white people understand the issues that are very hard to see if you're a white person. So I'm aware that things that happen to all people of color, no matter what color they are very similar. And something doesn't just happen to Black people or just happen to another culture. They happen to a lot. But I think I'd like to start with this series and then we'll move out and blossom on.
Rose, do you mind if I say anything?
Not at all. Go
Is
right
that
ahead.
okay?
Yep.
So, yeah, so Juan, I appreciate what you're saying, because I think you're getting at the point here, which is every person has their own voice, just like every person on the screen has their own voice. And so I think I'm so excited to join Hampton Schools as we're endeavoring on something that massively impacts our future generation. And so identifying within ourselves our own biases and experiences that we do hold and possess and act in a certain way. I think that this work is hard work and it's good work. It's work that I'm familiar with. I also am married, Juan, to a fellow Hispanic, and my children and our family, we've experienced many things. And so I share that as more of a starting point, in the sense of we all have stories and come from individualized places. And so I hope that the board is receptive to this work, because it's not easy. And what you're doing, though, because it's not easy, is so impactful for our students and for our future coming forward. And so I just kind of wanted to speak up and share that I'm excited about the work that the board is doing, but also the work that I'm looking forward to begin doing with the Hampton staff. So thank you, Rose and Juan.
Thank you. Any further comments? Okay, we'll move on to Ad Hoc Superintendent Evaluation Subcommittee. We're going to meet once Dr. Sarli's on board, because we're going to want to start jumping right into the evaluation process. But part of the law says that the superintendent has the right to be involved in the development of the process. So we'll develop that hopefully starting next week or the week after. And we'll move on to CABE. Ann, do you have anything to report from CABE?
My understanding is that the Diversity and Inclusion Committee initiated the affinity group structure statewide. Is that accurate, Rose?
Yeah, the workshop was a statewide workshop.
I was on that committee for a number of months, and
Great.
I'm pleased that it's come to fruition.
Yeah, it was actually
So-
very good. Yeah.
Sorry,
It was actually a very good workshop.
Lauren?
I was sorry when it ended.
Yeah, well, I think it's one piece of many. So, and we have new leadership at CABE, and there's a lot of continuity. I know that Don Harris and his wife, Martha Brackeen Harris, have been very involved, and Leonard Lockhart. And there's a whole team of people who are involved with it. So I'm pleased to see this coming to fruition. And there's going to be a leadership symposium, which is a newer tradition in the summertime. So that's going to be at I believe it's Water's Edge in Westbrook in early August. So look for the information about that.
Yeah, that's been showing up in our emails. But it's in person, so I can't go. Yeah. Okay, shall we move on to EastCon?
The new executive director began July 18th. There's no board meeting in July, but we're going to have our committee meetings early August to make up for the fact that they weren't held in July. So there's no specific news.
Okay, thank you. What's the new director's name?
Eric, and something like Alois. I'm not sure the spelling of his last name.
What letter
I could
does-
email.
Oh, okay. that'll be-
P.
Starts with a P. Okay, thank you. Okay, non-meeting, non-BOE meeting of the Hampton, Scotland discussions. So I sent out an email telling everyone that the committee would like to have a combined meeting with the Hampton Board of Ed and the Scotland Board of Ed. And I asked for dates that worked for you. And everyone but 2 people got back to me. So I was gonna corner those 2 people. Women, I want to open chat because Matthew's one of them. Matthew, do you have dates in August, after August 9th, that you can meet? Or if you'd like, you could tell us dates you can't meet after August 9th. Weekdays are fine. Okay, we'll be in the evening because there are some people on the committee on the Scotland Board of Ed, well, as well as the Hampton Board of Ed, who work during the day. Okay, thank you. And then Anne, are there certain
Right.
days? Are there,
I've been receiving emails. I think we need to look at what's in file for the address. But my schedule is in many cases open, but there are a few dates that, most of the dates that are problematic are during the day. So the evenings look pretty wide open right now.
okay. You certainly could. I've been sending, anytime I send you an email, I send one to the Hampton address and one to your personal address. So I'm surprised if you're not getting them. But I'll
Not
put you.
duration. I think it's my technology.
Oh, okay. I understand. Okay, so we have everybody's time. So what I will do is after the meeting tonight, I'll put it all together, but clearly between August 11th and 19th, with maybe 1 or 2 days omitted, is what I'll give back. And when the Scotland board meets, they can discuss those days too. And then they'll get back to me. So thank you.
Rose, can I add something?
Yes, of course.
I just like for the 4 of you who have already voiced your opinion against the cooperative agreement, that you would try to approach a tabula rasa approach, lay down your whatever reasons you started with to oppose it. And we're not closing a school, we're creating a new school. So you guys haven't gotten any facts, haven't gotten any data, and you jumped the gun on from the very start. So I would ask you to take time to think about what's being offered, not only to the school, but to the community. And that people have worked really hard to try to make it work, even though obstacles have been thrown right and left. And the division in the community is not worth it. It's just, right from the very beginning, you're losing steam. When we have the vote, I'm gonna go by whatever the vote says. I'm not gonna go because a group of us got together and decided we're gonna stand up against those people and we're gonna show them we're not going to do this. And so I would ask those 4 of you, and Mrs. Gruenberg, even though you don't live in Hampton anymore and probably are not coming back to Hampton, I would consider that you should resign, because if we ever have any live meetings, you're never going to be able to attend.
You are being inappropriate, commenting on another board member.
Thank you. And I'll do it again if I have to in a public session. Thank you.
And I'll tell you you're inappropriate.
You can, go ahead.
It's a comment just specifically about the about the process, and my position pretty consistently, and I'll admit that I maybe have not articulated it so directly, but my position is that this community needs to have input into whatever emerges. And that's probably the most important comment that I can make. That
Right.
it should include community input, much more important than what I would pick for myself.
Right, sure.
Any
That's
other
all.
comment? Okay, we will move on to additions to the agenda. Is there anything that needs to be added to tonight's agenda?
We
I'd
did
like,
not,
Okay, Mary Ellen?
I started
we did,
first.
Well,
Mary
she
Ellen.
lit
No.
up first on my board, so Mary
Well,
Ellen?
I started speaking first. Okay.
Mary Ellen?
we didn't vote on the May, I'm sorry, the date. It was a special meeting. We didn't approve those minutes. I'll pull it up
Okay,
with May 10th.
are those the minutes you sent out today?
Yes, there was a special board meeting discussion and action about changing the school calendar. I actually wasn't at that meeting, but it was the one where 2 days were subtracted from the school calendar to accommodate the paving. So that's May 10th, 2022 minutes. I just sent them to you, Rose. I didn't send them to the
Oh,
board.
all right, so let's put them on the next agenda,
Okay.
because if people haven't seen them, it's hard to vote. Juan, what would you like to say?
I just wanted to be able to do something about the communications that were not discussed, because, and I just want to start with a tabla rasa for the school, but I would also like for the new superintendent to reconsider the actions of the outgoing superintendent, so that she doesn't have to live under the action and behavior of a prior superintendent. And
that is certainly something that she has the ability to do, and she will address it as soon as she starts. That will be one of the first things she gets to.
Thank you.
Any other things for our next agenda? Hearing none, we will move on to audience for citizens and staff. And again, I'm going to ask people to hold their comments to 2 minutes. And we're going to start with, I'm sorry, B. Garvey, I don't know your first name.
It's actually Jamie. I'm on my husband's computer.
Okay,
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure. I live at 43 Rogers Road. We bought a house here in October of 2019. My daughter, who had just turned 5, will be attending Hampton Elementary. Very excited. My only question is, I know there's very few daycares in this area. And my husband and I are both full-time working parents, and I'm just a little concerned now that Hampton Elementary does not have an before and after school program. I'm worried about transportation. She goes to the Learning Den in Chaplin. It's very close to Hampton Elementary. But as I looked before, there's only one at-home daycare in this area. And I believe that's the only one that provides any transportation to and from the daycare from elementary school. And I'm just a little concerned with that, because I really do want my daughter to have the best education. But as we're full-time working parents, I'm concerned about the transportation issue. So if anybody has any resources or email websites that I could go to for transportation, that would be wonderful.
are you asking if we can provide transportation to the daycare?
Absolutely.
Well, we're gonna have our new superintendent look into that once she starts.
That would be great. I really do appreciate any help that you folks could give me.
Okay, thank you for coming and sitting through our whole meeting so you could ask that.
It was great. I really enjoyed it and I got a lot of education from it. So thank you.
Great. Anyone else, Kathy?
Okay, I have a lot of questions, so they may take longer than 2 minutes. First, on the minority recruitment and retention, I believe it was discussed that NAACP would come in for meetings with the staff, and that wasn't brought up under the report.
Yeah, I don't think it was discussed that that would happen. I think it was discussed that a committee would work on how to approach this. And the committee will be working on that, and it might happen or someone else might come in. But it's not that it has to be NAACP.
Okay, and while I appreciate the committee's work, when we talk about this topic, I agree with Juan, it has to be wider. I believe that video was, a good start. One thing is you might want to reach out to the towns of Hebron, and I believe Mansfield have also held community conversations on these topics and had somebody come in, because I think it's important, not just for the school, but for our community as a whole. The next thing was, Dr. Ola, you had written back to me, I'd requested an update of your financial policies at the elementary school because we're updating them. For Dr. Sardi, I'm the chair of the Board of Finance in Hampton. I put that request out. If you haven't completed that, I understand it may continue into the next administration, but I would at least like a copy of your financial policies at the school that you currently have. And then my other question was surrounding the security. At one of the meetings of the subcommittee, there was a question about that the intercoms weren't working and you were going to look into Wi-Fi or a combination of repairing the older system and radios. And I didn't know if that had gone any further. I didn't hear anything about that.
Hi Kathy, it's Mark Becker. Just real quick, we did talk about it. We had gotten a quote to repair the existing system. It was fairly expensive. I think it was like $40,000 or something like that. So we are going to continue down the path of looking at options, but at the time, Dr. Ola had not investigated going to a wireless system.
Okay, and then
So
my
we need
last,
to do that.
yeah, you need to obviously update that for security purposes. The other thing is RD11, after they did lock in, and I didn't know whether your board had gotten that information at $383 a gallon for the next year with a company that's called Dime Oil. They're out of Waterbury. I'm not sure what the consortium is coming up or if they had any strike prices yet, but you can reach out to Jovina for additional information at RD11.
In Waterbury, you said?
Yeah, it's out of Waterbury.
Okay,
$383 a gallon is what their strike price was.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Alan?
Has the custodian position been posted after Andy's resignation?
Sam?
Yes, it has. And I have several candidates coming in. I'm probably up to about 17 at this point. Candidates. No interviews are set up or anything yet. Just collecting the resumes.
Position posted. Where was it posted?
Indeed.
Is that it?
I can't, that one I know for sure. I know that Sally made an effort to post it on CT Reap. But I'm not sure if she actually got it there. It was glitchy for her.
Is it on our website?
That I don't know. I have
All
to
right.
check. That I will check into.
All right. Thank you. Anything else, Alan?
That's fine, thank you.
Kathy?
I just want to add, welcome to Dr. Sarley. Congratulations on the twins. I'm also a mother of twins. And I'm looking forward to working with our community.
Thank you, Kathy. I am too.
Okay. I'm open to a motion to adjourn.
Second. Oh, I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Okay, so Diane, who's seconding it?
I'll second it.
Mark, let's just raise our hands for this one. All those in favor?
Aye.
How about, let me see,
I'm raising
Matt,
my hand.
put aye. How about Juan? Do you want to vote?
Yes.
Okay, it's unanimous. We're adjourning at 8:41. Good night, everyone.
Good
Luck with
night.
future endeavors, Dr. Ola.
He already left.
Good night.
Good night.